Tokuya's natural wild Kabusecha. It's a very wild, very natural Kabusecha, and as you can see, the leaf is quite large. It's deeply green because it's been shaded. It also includes several twig parts, which means that it's not been filtered out. It's not that cleanly finished Japanese green tea that you get in any supermarket or conventional tea store in Japan. It's direct from the producer, unfiltered, which means that we get everything that the tea bush has to offer us. The fresh leaf, some larger leaves that might have been picked as well, parts of the twigs, the veins, everything is included, and that helps us to enjoy the whole of what that tea bush and that terroir has to offer us. So generally, because the tea leaf has been shaded, it's considered that it's stronger in umami flavor, and we also want to extract that umami flavor. We also want to limit the amount of bitterness that is extracted, so that is why these teas are brewed at a lower temperature. I prefer to brew most of my teas at the same boiling hot 98 degrees, and I also like to do that with this Kabusecha, but to show you an alternative way to savor it and through the multiple infusions also enjoy different flavors, I will first cool down some water in the pitcher in which I'm going to collect the liquor of the tea in the end. And then after having cooled that down, that's going to be about 70-80 degrees when it hits the tea in our little teapot. I will first steep it at a lower temperature, and then for the successive brews I would take a shorter infusion period at 98 degrees. So I'm going to let this steep for about a minute. And so our tea has finished steeping. I always like to smell the tea leaf and look at the tea leaf. Smells very fresh and very sweet. I'm not sure if you're going to get enough light in here. Not sure if that's going to be very clear. The liquor, a very nice pale green, looks very delicious. Have a look at it in a teacup. It's very aromatic, very fragrant, and also because it's a natural tea, it hasn't been fertilized as much, which means that also the flavor is not going to be as much as you'd expect from a conventional Kabusecha. Instead, it has a stronger aroma, which is also why for the second and the third infusions I prefer to go with hot boiled water. Let me first try the first brew. Also because we didn't lower the temperature very much, it's about 80 degrees, maybe 70 degrees, we do get a lot of this this sweetness, this umami sweetness, also a strong aroma. It's very gentle, very fresh. Okay, so the water has boiled. It's 98 degrees, 100 degrees, just readily boiled. I'm going to make the second infusion. Again, this time I'm not going to cool down the water. I'm just going to pour it directly onto our tea leaves. I prefer making tea with absolutely hot water because it brings out the best aroma of the tea. If you want to play more with the flavor, then I suggest that you also adjust the temperatures of the water. For the first one, I've taken a cooler brew, cooling down the water by first transferring it to the pitcher and then to the kyusu. Now this time I'm going straight on so that you get that difference in flavors. Also, because I've poured the hot water straight onto the tea leaf, I'm not letting it steep that very much, because the hotter the water, the quicker your tea extracts as well. So this tea, you'll see that in comparison to the first brew, the color of the liquor is going to be stronger. First, let me again try to give you a look at the tea leaf. Tea leaf has unfurled much more now than the first brew. And here again is the liquor. So you see that it's much darker. Also, the leaf has unfurled more than when it was brewed with a colder water. In general, it brings out a little bit more of these bitters, but they're just regular vegetal bitters, like you would have in asparagus, for example. And the aroma is much more outspoken, and it's especially the aroma that I think is a trait of these natural artisan teas. So that was the second infusion. You can continue on playing with it for the third, fourth, fifth infusion. This tea will give you pleasure for several more infusions. So I'd suggest that you definitely try to go to 4, 5 infusions. Play a bit with the duration of the infusion time. I like to go with a hotter temperature and shorter brewing times for the first and the second infusion, and gradually extend the brewing duration for the successive brews. I suggest that you figure out your own preferences, see what you like to do for each tea individual, and I think it's very important just to understand what tea that you're drinking, so that based on that knowledge you can adjust your brewing methods. Enjoy your tea.